How do you know you've moved beyond the middle class? Let's use flying as a perfect analogy, and not just because each seating section is literally broken down into a class, but what each section represents. Most of us dream of flying in a private jet, but for middle class, you're literally stuck in that middle seat. While flying private is usually associated for billionaires, flying coach is what most middle class people are used to and accustomed to. Maybe you've paid extra for that premium coach ticket that gets you a little bit of extra legroom, or maybe you've even splurged on a first class ticket and then you've never felt like you really fit in up there. When they hand out those towels that are all warm, you look around and you see what everyone else is doing to make sure that you're not going to embarrass yourself and use it the wrong way. The fact is, 89% of people tend to classify themselves as middle class, when in reality, they've already punched their ticket into that upper class without even knowing it. So what's beyond middle class and how do we know we've made it? In this video, I'm going to break down the 7 areas in your life that will unlock whether or not you've moved beyond the middle class, or just show you what you need to do in order to get there. Determining whether you are above middle class often involves evaluating various financial, lifestyle, and social indicators. Number 1, higher income levels. Generally, if your household income significantly exceeds the median for your area or country, you might be considered as being above middle class. This could mean earning more than double the median income depending on the region that you're in. The top 5% of income earners in the United States had incomes that exceeded $250,000 per year as of 2020, which is about 4 times the median household income of approximately $68,700. In some high-cost areas like San Francisco and New York City, that median household income can be significantly higher than the national average. For instance, in San Francisco, the median household income was about $112,000, reflecting the high cost of living and the concentration of those high-paying tech jobs. Over the past few decades, income inequality has increased definitely in the United States, with the top 1% of earners capturing a much larger share of the total income. Between 1979 and 2016, the average pre-tax income for the bottom 50% of Americans remained almost unchanged, while incomes for the top 1% grew by about 226%. Number 2, asset ownership. Owning substantial assets such as multiple real estate properties, significant investments in stocks, bonds, etc., or owning stakes in businesses can indicate wealth beyond the middle class. In the United States, homeownership rates vary significantly by income. According to data from the Federal Reserve, about 93% of families in the top 10% of income distribution own their own home, compared to just about 50% for the bottom 25% as of 2019. This shows that higher income groups are more likely to own homes, which is a key asset and often represents a substantial portion of someone's personal wealth. The same Federal Reserve report noted that families in the top 10% of income distributions are significantly more likely to own stocks. Approximately 94% of these families own stocks compared to only 31% of families in the bottom 50%. The average value of their stock holdings was also much higher, reflecting substantial asset accumulation is not typically accessible to the middle class. Ownership of businesses is another critical asset that can indicate wealth beyond the middle class. The Federal Reserve data indicates that nearly 20% of families in the top decile own a business, compared to just 5% of families in the second lowest decile. In addition, the median value of business equity owned by those in that top 10% was over $500,000. This suggests the substantial wealth generation through business assets. So if you own a home, stocks, and a business, you're likely in the upper echelons of income earners, setting yourself apart from that middle class. Number 3, discretionary spending. The ability to spend money on non-essential items without financial strain, such as luxury goods, travel, and high-end entertainment, suggests financial freedom that's characteristic of upper class. According to a report from Bain & Company, the global luxury market for luxury goods was valued at approximately £1 trillion in 2019. And it's predominantly driven by the upper class. For instance, consumers from the top 10% income bracket are responsible for nearly half of all luxury goods purchases. This high level of spending on luxury items is a strong indicator of upper class status. Let's look at travel and leisure. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that households in the highest income quintile spend about 3 times as much on entertainment and twice as much on dining out compared to the median household. These households also spent significantly more on travel, about $8,500 annually, compared to the median across all households of approximately $3,000, which highlights this considerable gap between leisure spending for upper and lower incomes. And then we get into art and collectibles. High-income individuals are also more likely to invest in art and collectible items. A UBS and Art Basel report noted that the art market reached over $67 billion in sales in 2018, with the bulk of those purchases made by wealthy collectors. The top collectors often spend millions on individual pieces like paintings, underscoring the level of discretionary spending far beyond the reach of a typical middle-class household. Number 4, educational opportunities. Having access to exclusive, high-cost educational institutions for either yourself or your children, including private schools or top universities, can definitely be a sign that you've moved beyond the middle class. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, about 10% of all U.S. students are enrolled in private schools, which often boast smaller classroom sizes, more resources, and sometimes better outcomes. Importantly, families in the top income quartile are significantly more likely to send their children to private schools compared to families in the lower income brackets. For instance, families making over $75,000 annually are twice as likely to enroll children in private schools as compared to families making less than $75,000. Students from families in the top economic tiers are overrepresented at Ivy League schools and other elite colleges. A report from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that 14% of students at elite colleges come from families in the top 1% of the income distribution, while only about 4% come from the bottom 20% of that income distribution. This stark disparity underscores how upper-class status can correlate with access to prestigious educational institutions. Higher income families are also more likely to afford opportunities in international education and travel. Data from the Institute of International Education shows that U.S. students who study abroad are predominantly from higher income families. Approximately 60% of those students come from households with incomes over $100,000, highlighting significant correlation between higher family income and opportunity for international education. Number 5, professional status. Occupations that require advanced degrees or are highly specialized, such as doctors, lawyers, or corporate executives, often come with incomes and a social status that indicate upper-class membership. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, certain professions command significantly higher average annual salaries, placing them well above the median household income. For example, in 2020, the average annual income for physicians was approximately $208,000, while lawyers earned about $126,000 on average. These professions typically require advanced degrees and are associated with high earning potential and upper-class status. The earnings gap between a C-suite executive and other employees is also substantial. A report from the Economic Policy Institute noted that CEOs of the largest 350 firms in the United States earned on average 320 times more than a typical worker in 2019. This extreme ratio is not only highlighting the high compensation of executives, but also underscores their position in that upper class. Individuals with advanced degrees tend to earn significantly more than those with less education. For instance, individuals with professional degrees or doctorates had a median weekly earnings of around $1,880 in 2020, compared to $1,305 for those with a bachelor's degree and $781 for high school graduates. This correlation between higher education attainment and income is a key indicator of professional status that often aligns with the upper class membership. Number 6, financial security. Possessing a level of financial security that includes comprehensive insurance, robust savings accounts, and the ability to handle unexpected expenses easily points to an economic standing well above the middle class. A key measure of financial security is the ability to handle a sudden financial shock. According to a survey by the Federal Reserve in 2019, only 63% of Americans said that they could cover a $400 emergency expense using cash or equivalents without having to borrow money or sell something. However, among households earning more than $100,000 annually, this figure jumps up significantly, suggesting that higher income groups, often upper class, have a much greater financial resilience than others. Retirement savings are another significant indicator of financial security. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau indicates that while 2/3 of Americans participate in the retirement savings accounts, the average balances vary dramatically by income. Households in the top 20% by income have retirement account balances that are several times larger than those in the middle quintile, and exponentially more than those in the bottom quintile. For example, families in the top 10% often have retirement savings in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. Having comprehensive insurance like health, life insurance, property insurance, umbrella insurance is a crucial part of financial security. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners reports that high-income families are more likely to have multiple types of insurance coverage. For instance, nearly 90% of high-income households have homeowners or renters insurance compared to 50% in the lowest income quintile. This not only protects their wealth, but also reduces the potential for a big financial impact and unexpected events. Number 7, social networks. Being part of exclusive social networks, clubs, or associations that require significant membership fees or have restrictive entry criteria can also indicate status above the middle class. Exclusive clubs, such as country clubs or social clubs, often have high membership fees and a selective admission process. According to a report, the initiation fees for exclusive country clubs in the United States can range from $50,000 to over $500,000, with annual dues on top of that. These clubs not only require significant financial outlay, but also often an invitation-only policy, which means that membership is closely tied to social and economic status. Graduates from elite institutions often belong to alumni networks that offer significant social and professional advantages. A study revealed that alumni from top Ivy League schools are disproportionately represented in leadership positions in various sectors, including government, business, and nonprofits. Membership in these alumni networks can facilitate career opportunities and access to exclusive social circles that are not readily available to the general public. Serving on the boards of notable nonprofits, museums, and corporations is another marker of upper-class status. A survey found that the board members of large corporations and high-profile nonprofits typically hail from the upper echelons of society, often leveraging their positions to engage with other influential figures socially and professionally. Board memberships not only reflect a person's social standing, but also enhance it through high-level connections and influence. You don't have to meet all 7 of these criteria in order to be in the upper class, but you will likely see yourself in a few of these categories if you've made it beyond the middle class. Now that you understand what qualifies as upper class, see how many of these money and life truths that you've already mastered. Watch this video next for the 40 money and life truths that you must master by the age of 40.